Welcome to Airborne Flight Training. Coming up on this week's episode, Morningstar Air Express working to improve pilot retention. Aura Aero partners with Airbus for electric trainer. CAE releases 2023 aviation talent forecast. And I'm your host, Holland Lee. Welcome to Airborne Flight Training, a weekly program dedicated to future aviators and aviation professionals. Airborne Flight Training is brought to you in part by King Schools. King Schools has been leading the effort in producing expert aviation training programs and computer-based learning software for nearly 50 years. Find out why pilots love King teaching at kingschools.com. Now let's get into today's stories. Morningstar Air Express working to improve pilot retention. Morningstar Air Express operates primarily as a subcontractor for FedEx. In addition to a contract all-cargo FedEx service from Halifax, Nova Scotia to Vancouver, British Columbia, Morningstar offers ad hoc all-cargo charter services. Notwithstanding its long-standing, stable, and profitable arrangement with FedEx, the post-COVID era has seen Morningstar struggle to retain pilot talent. To curb attrition, Morningstar pilots represented by ALPA have entered into negotiations with the airline's management in the hope of securing a retention bonus program by which extant and newly recruited Morningstar pilots may be compelled to remain longer in the air carrier's employ. In summer 2022, a survey devised and administered by the carrier's MEC determined Morningstar's pilots were amenable to the notion of a retention bonus program. However, such an initiative has yet to be actualized. In the absence of supplemental monetary inducements, Morningstar has remained doggedly about the endeavor of hiring as many qualified pilots as it can attract. Accepting the closure of the airline's Montreal pilot base and a moderate bolstering of its Cessna 208 pilot cadre necessitated by the newly codified and unprecedentedly restrictive flight and duty time provisions of CAR Subpart 703, endemic attrition has yet to occasion significant changes in Morningstar's flight operations. Coming up after the break, Amerijet pilots ratify tentative agreement.
Throughout the globe, Piper Aircraft has hand-selected the very best in company representation, service, and support. From first inquiry to acquisition to product support, Piper Aircraft ownership is seamless and worry-free. Piper Aircraft authorized dealers, factory trained, factory connected.
Well, hello, fellow pilot. I'm John King.
And I'm Martha King.
You know, we've all had our flying lives disrupted lately.
Well, King Schools is here to help you stay up to date with courses that you can access on your desktop, iPad, or iPhone. If you'd like a refresher or just want to expand your aviation horizons, we have a course for you.
So head over to kingschools.com/rusty today for details.
Welcome back. Now let's take a trip around the patch for some shorter stories. Amerijet pilots ratify tentative agreement. Following 3 years of negotiations, Amerijet pilots represented by ALPA unanimously approved a tentative agreement with the management of Amerijet International Incorporated. The Incoit agreement was subsequently forwarded to the airline's 300 rank-and-file pilots for ratification. After 3 weeks of voting, Amerijet pilots on June 23rd ratified the tentative agreement. Of the 120 eligible pilots who took part in the vote, 80% favored the new deal. In addition to pay raises exceeding 45%, the 3-year collective bargaining agreement includes improvements to pilot schedules, work rules, and retirement security. Textron Aviation opens skill development location. Textron has announced its own workforce development location in a 100,000 square foot facility in Wichita, the Hiring and Learning Center. Textron wants to foster its own professionals in-house, ensuring greater fealty to the company over time and guaranteeing a consistent supply of newcomers. Personnel shortages have been a continuing bugbear for specialized aviation outfits, and others may soon follow suit. Textron obtained a $3.3 million grant for the facility, courtesy of the state of Kansas, aimed at supporting the development of a competent, specialized workforce in their own backyard. Hartzell Engine Tech to host AirVenture educational forums. AirVenture 2023 will see Hartzell Engine Tech, formerly Hartzell Engine Technologies, present a number of educational forums for pilots and aircraft owners and maintainers at booths 257 and 258. Hartzell Engine Tech President Keith Bagley stated, quote, "Our 3 free 60-minute forums are created to provide aircraft owners, operators, and A&P mechanics with valuable information to help them safely get the best performance and longevity out of our family of products. There's no need to register, just show up and take your firewall-forward knowledge to new heights, end quote. NASA AirVenture 2023 itinerary announced. NASA is making ready to dazzle AirVenture attendees with a series of attractions and displays worthy of the agency's $32.5 billion 2023 budget. NASA's AirVenture 2023 campaign will be anchored at its pavilion in Aviation Gateway Park, just northwest of the FAA VFR control tower on the AirVenture grounds. Well, that's it for today's trip around the patch. Let's get back to the rest of the news. Aura Aero partners with Airbus for electric trainer. Airbus Flight Academy Europe signed a memorandum of understanding with Aura Aero for the development of a new training-focused version of the Integral E. Under the agreement, the Airbus training subsidiary will, quote, collaborate on the initial development of Integral E, a fully electric two-seater trainer aircraft ideally suited for initial stages of pilot training, end quote. The technology is a hot commodity in the minds of flight schools around the world, just on the cusp of real-world feasibility but still out of reach without production aircraft. Key to training use will be the ability to minimize charging time while maintaining sufficient battery life, a problem Aura Aero intends to solve with the inclusion of on-field superchargers. With quick charging, the Integral E is hoped to have a turnaround time of, quote, 20 to 30 minutes, granting the aircraft an hour of flight endurance, end quote. Given the relationship between Airbus Flight Academy and the French Air Force, the Integral could be on track for some real cachet as a sort of warbird. And coming up after these messages, CAE releases 2023 Aviation Talent Forecast.
There's a difference between charting a steady course and pushing for the ceiling. And for nearly a century, Hartzell Propeller has been defining that difference. It's in our passion for engineering and research and our dedication to testing the limits of performance. We are built on honor. We are Hartzell Propeller.
If it looks good, it usually flies good. The Bristol series of aircraft is proof of that. Furthering their legacy of safety and efficiency, Bristol is proud to feature the Rotax 915 IS Turbo in the current lineup of aircraft. The 915 IS Turbo power plant offers more power than ever before in a light sport aircraft. Learn more about Bristol at www.sportflyingusa.com.
Welcome back. CAE releases 2023 Aviation Talent Forecast. CAE released its 2023 Aviation Talent Forecast at the Paris Air Show. All told, the company anticipates continuing growth across the global commercial and business aviation sectors, which over the coming decade will occasion need for 1.3 million new aviation professionals, including pilots, cabin crew, and aircraft maintainers. Additionally, CAE's 10-year study estimates the commercial and business aviation segments, to offset retirement, attrition, and ongoing expansion of their markets, will be required to recruit and train 1.18 million and 106,000 support personnel respectively. CAE Group President of Civil Aviation Nick Leontidis stated, quote, as commercial aviation nears full recovery and business aviation exceeds pre-pandemic levels, CAE's aviation talent forecast shows that the demand will continue to grow, and the industry will have to come together and find creative ways to ensure a steady pipeline of highly trained personnel for the next 10 years and beyond, end quote. Historically, CAE's aviation talent forecast has analyzed projected demand for pilots. 2023's report is the first to evaluate further need for aircraft cabin crew and maintenance personnel. In addition to quantifying demand for aviation talent over the next 10-year period, the forecast endeavors to determine the factors by which subject demand is driven and means by which employers may attract qualified personnel. And that's our show for today. You can catch episodes of Airborne on YouTube, Roku, or Fire TV. Just search for Aero-News or Airborne, and don't forget to follow us on social media. Thanks for watching.